So however I have handled is like this. So I know the kind of errors I'm going to get for sign up. So I'm just going to go create that sign up error section, error model, and struct sign up error codable type, and it's going to come back like validation errors. So let me just create that validation errors. It's not an, it's an array of errors. So I'll also have to create something called as a validation error, validation errors, again a codable type, and it is going to have in errors against any of these three fields: name, email, or password. So I can just keep name, email, and password as array of errors. So keeping it as, so if there are no errors, then I can make it nil, a nil type, nullable type. So that does not throw something on me. So this is how it's going to come back, the validation errors. Let's say if I remove something for name, then it's an array. For name there is an array, email there is an array, password there is an array. So three things as arrays. So that's why I'm keeping it as name an array, email an array of string, password an array of string, and those are actually part of the validation, the sign up error, which is the base type where I'll start parsing. Sign up error has validation error. So I will also have to include enum coding keys, because the names are not the same as whatever is coming from server. So this validation error allowed to say whatever is coming from server is this validation errors underscore errors. So to keep that same name. So that's fine. Now everything is fine. Name, email, all these field names are going to be these coding keys, coding key. Okay, coding keys and coding key should be fine now. It's ready for parsing the errors right now. So I can just directly use sign up error. Go back here. You see my code. So I can just say let auth error. So this is the case where you're going to get an error because it's not 200. So whatever not 200, let's say if it is 500, 501, 401, it's all going to come here, and then you are going to get that error. Maybe if it is not something else, then we'll have to parse specifically for that error if this structure is not the same. But I'm expecting it to be the same because I have only defined it, the structure of these errors. So it's JSON decoder. Where is my I need to add decoder dot decode. It's asking for the type. I know this is the type dot self, and I just passed the data. So this should parse my response. Auth error. So I can send across the whole error as these, or I can just pass one by one. Let's say if it is, it's still invalid because it needs to be inside do try, the whole thing, which is weird because I already, okay, I just will have to add again within this guard. Let me do that too. Okay, need the structure somewhere to catch, not giving me to catch. Okay, so that's a snippet I keep. still inside this. If do the whole thing within this. Okay, whole thing is because I don't have a try there. That's the reason. I have a try here. So I can just pass this within this. So I have this try inside. Pattern, I don't care. And then should be fine, I guess. Yeah, that's fine now. Auth error is received. If there is any failure, I can just use this. Say this. Sign up parsing failed with error. So I'm just passing that error here. And then maybe I'll just tell my interactor that something has failed. Maybe sign up failed. It does not need to know why it failed, because it's up to the developer or a tester to actually see what the real error is. User need not worry about what the real kind of error is. Sign up failed. That's it. That's what is important to a user. So that's done. And then even here I can, if auth error dot validation errors dot has three kinds, right? Email. If there is an email, I can always grab the first element with the error, because it's always giving me, at least it's only going to give me one error. So I can always say, try to see if there is an error in name field. First thing first, I can just send that name error to the server or to the client, to the user side, and he can rectify that, or he can even combine everything and send in one shot, and then he can in one shot itself you can rectify all the errors. But let me just do this way, where if I have an error, let's say if it is, let me just call that as okay, let me just start with the name errors. Let name error, if there is a name error, first object within that array, if there is a name error, I can always say failure, this is my error. I'll just send that as the error and return from there. If there is a similar thing, if there is an email error, email, then it goes as a second one. That means if there is no name error, then I send the email error. And finally, if there is a password error, let me just send that as well. Three things handled neatly, 3 errors. If the case is not 200, these are the cases. So I guess we are pretty much good with sign up right now. Sign up is done. So sign up, at least on the server side implementation, you're capturing this, making this call, sign up, and then this is done. So what do we do now? We have the response going back as a failure or a success. So now it's the job of the interactor to start receiving that. So we don't have the service passed here yet. Let me just pass the HTTP service as a parameter to the interactor. Auth, it just needs auth API. Can just maybe say auth API. That's it, auth API I receive here. And if I may have to make it like auth service dot shared, I can just pass it auth API. Private let auth API. Yeah, and self dot auth API is equal auth API. did I do? So I can also make this interactor singleton. Because it's going to be reused, so let's do that. I'm done. I have a single interactor which is singleton, and we have the sign up function. Let's use that to pass. All I need to do is self.authAPI.signup, pass username, email, and password. Request and response is coming here. The success is coming here. I have this token. I just ignore that. I don't need this because I'm not interested in saving those. Maybe failure is something which I need. As error, I'll just use that. So I have the success. Let me just more format and keep it nicely. Success and error. Success anyway I'm ignoring, so maybe keep it like simply, nicely. This is my error. Okay. So what do I have here? A completion block. It's asking me to add it. 3 of them are coming, so I just call. And what should a completion block do? Completion block should send the auth result. I have a success there, and I'll just say sign up is successful. That's my response to my the presenter. And on error, what should I do? I just again do a completion. I'll just say dot failure, and I'll just pass the same error there because that's already well formatted, so I'm just passing that. So my role of the interactor here to just get this and send it back is done. So if I had something, let's say I had to save something to the database, that's what would have happened somewhere here, where on success I would have passed. I'll just explain that DB side thing once we do the login, because we need to save that token at that point, but not when you are doing a sign up. So sign up, it's just saying, oh, you are signed up, let's proceed with something. If you have a failure, okay, you need to show that and then do something for that. So that's what we're going to do right now. AuthInteractor has a sign up function. Let's now pass it as a dependency to, we already had this from the previous tutorial, the sign up presenter. It needs a use case right now because we were at somewhere here. Or we were somewhere here where we were validating, but we were not letting the user sign up. So let me do that now. Let me pass the use case here. Type alias use cases. So what do I need? I need a sign up function. It will be of the specific type. Sign up. This is my request response. Whole thing I can grab and keep there. Username, email, password, and then this completion block. That's my sign up, and I'm not passing the login as yet. So use cases is defined, and let me have that private use cases. then pass it as parameter use cases. Self dot use cases. So I have the use cases now. All I need to do is I need to pass it here as a parameter. Sign up. So I already have let me call that interactor, AuthInteractor, equal to AuthInteractor dot shared, then pass that function here dot sign up. That's just the closure I need. I don't need the whole function. That's it. That's my use case. First parameter. Second cannot be, you cannot just pass one parameter to a tuple, so you'll have to keep one empty. So that's done. So that's my use case. So what should happen ideally? So whatever we had earlier was we were calling this validate first thing, so that we check all the fields are valid or not. If it is not valid, then we used to return it and say update the invalid fields. So this is where we keep things come in. If it is valid, this is where in the presenter we'll call the self dot use cases dot sign up. Pretty simple, isn't it? We already have the fields. First field is fields dot, you already have all the fields here. So can maybe see validation text. Then how I had done there. Let me just check. Okay, let's do one thing. This is not the way I expected it to happen. So we have a completion block here, so we can just say completion and then pass is valid. I just have a cross refer with whatever I have already done. I have the account sign up section, the presenter. Okay, we can call it anyway, because this completion is where we will have the whether it is valid or invalid, we pass it through the completion so that it is received at the view controller end, and again we call the presenter function. So that's what it is. Completion is valid, and then we can also do something to, if it is valid, we need to enable all the or if we need to update the buttons, or like if it is signing up or something, which we can do at this point. So do we have that in the view right now? We have update progress, so we are not done anything there. We can do that right now. So update progress, we can call it here. So once that change is happening, self is view dot update progress is completed is set to false because it's not yet complete. So whatever I'll do there is go to my view controller. Here I have a button, sign up button dot set title for normal state. What did I just set? Set title. Sorry, title to be signing up. Maybe I'll just say signing up with 3 dots. And for the normal case, let's say if this is, if it's completed, it's going to be different. If not completed, this is what I'll do. And then I might just set its sign button dot is enabled to, okay, that can come outside. Is enabled is, if it is completed, I'll enable it. If not, I won't. So is completed. can do that as the first thing, and return here itself. And if it is set title, again back to sign up. These two things I'm just doing. This is just a update from presenter. So whenever I'll call the update progress, let's say in this case I'm validating, and if it is not valid, I'm just setting it to, maybe this will create a problem. Let me see. Okay, this I'm setting only if it is if this is valid, then that's when I'll start updating my button. Until then it will always be sign up. It will not be disabled. But as soon as it hits a valid validation fields within the client side, not the server, so I'll just do an update, and then I'll just, anyway this completion block is going to get called always. So let's go back to wherever we are calling the validate here. So it'll be on button click. So this is where it happens on sign up. I get a call back here, whether it is valid or not. This is what that completion block is. So completion, I get this valid. This is where I give a call to presenter saying right now on you do a sign up right now. So let me just add that in my presenter function on sign up. What did I define? Let me have a look. I'm just saying sign up. Let me just keep it like however I have done in my existing code. I'm just saying sign up, and that's it. I'm just passing those three parameters: username, email, and password. So let me do that. Sign up, that's it. And on sign up, what should happen? We already have the use cases dot sign up, pass these parameters: username, email, and password. And it also has a callback of result, which I can do a switch result. It gives me a success or failure here. So I'm very close to calling a sign up right now. It gives me a result. This result is a message, and this is an error, so we can directly use that. That's done. So my use case gets called. So I'll have to go back to my sign up view controller and see whether I have this function call happening. No, I have to call the presenter dot sign up function, and I already know the name control dot validation text. Maybe I can directly call email control dot validation text again, because that validation text directly returns me the value in that controls validation text. So these three things I'm just calling sign up. Pretty good now. It's updating progress. Then again, once it is done, it will update back. So let's go back to my presenter. What happens here? So it gives a call to this. So I'll have to update back my progress once it is success or failure. In any case, I need to update that. So I can always keep it outside on the response, this response side. I'll have to update and say that it's completed, so that my button gets enabled, and it says again sign up. But it's also giving me error messages, which I need to show within a status label, which I already have defined. So I'll show you that in my login. I have somewhere here a status label. So this will get updated with the error or success message. So I already have it. So all I need to do is to send that back. So do I need to create another function? Okay, let me do that. Within my view controller, I'll just say it's easier so that we can keep all of these features segregated, like whether it is progress or invalidation or status, all are within its own functions. It's easier than that way. I'll be using a status view model there. It's because one of the ways I can show that within VIPER how use case or within VIPER how view models can exist. Update status, I'm going to use a view model there. I'll just call that as using view model. I'll just call it auth status view model because it's common for both login or sign up. Let me just create that in my, maybe I'll keep an account because that's where it is relevant. Struct. So view model, it will have two fields. Title and a color. Color, I'm just keeping it as I have defined an enum for that. Maybe I'll use that. I'm just going to grab that color. I'm just calling it as color constant, where I have a success color and a failure color. So I'll just keep that as the type here. So I have success and failure. Okay, this is already there, I guess. Invalid it says because redeclaration, so it should be there already. Let me just go and show you that. Color constant, I kept it within the utility section. Grocery utility UI color constants, success for one for success, one for failure. I'm just using that here. So this is a view model which need not bother about the actual UI colors but just the color strings. So those are here as view models. So that's done now. So what should happen here is go back to my view controller or presenter. I have this sign up, and then on success I can just, so it is actually in the view where I can update the status. I can just go there. Maybe I'll just say self dot view dot update status using view models. So auth service, auth status view model. I have a title. I can just pass, title is my message and color is my dot success. So that's my update. And on failure, I'll just pass the failure color and then send the error message. So that's my update section. So I guess, what's the error now? It's not conforming to, so I need to implement that now. Update status, it's nothing but I already have a status label. I'll just set the text to view model dot title and status label dot text color to view model dot text color, this color constants, color one, which is nothing but I can get the raw value, color dot. Okay, let me just use that UI color init. I have something with hex colors, so I pass the hex color there. Fixing it to the raw value. So this should update my sign up. I think the overall things are there now. Let's say on sign up I have a validate. If it is valid, I'm calling the sign up function, which in turn sign up presenter in turn calls use cases, and use cases in turn calls the service, HTTP service, which should return me a response. So let's just see what's going on. Rerun the thing. Firstly, let me just use some ID which I have already used, like let's say my ID itself. This first thing, it should give me the client side errors first. So it's already happening. Okay, with gmail.com. Password. So it's giving me that error, the server side error. The email has already been taken. So that's what I'm getting back. So if you want to see that, let's go there. Where is my service? Wherever I'm passing HTTP auth API service, so I should get it back here. So if it is not 200, it'll come inside auth error, and if it is name error, we can just parse it. Let's see here. Sign up. Came there. What's the error that we have? Auth error, validation errors, email has already been taken. That's where it is coming. So this is fine now. So we are able to do that. Now whatever needs to happen is, let's say I sign up. If it is successful, it should flip me back to this view, and also it should clear these fields. That's something we need to do. Clear this field as soon as a sign up is success or failure. That's also something we'll do now. Let me just go check what I have done for that. Okay, so if it is, we already have something called as is completed in the closure. We can just check that. So this is where we go there. View controller is completed. We have this. And let's see if is completed. I have the name control dot input text field dot text. I can set it to empty. Similar thing for email field. Email control dot input text field dot text empty. Password control dot input text field dot text empty. So this should happen. Even you can pass these things from the view model side, so that you don't hard code anything on the view controller side. So it just has to see if it is completed, what should be the message that we need to pass. It becomes easier here. So that's done. So this is clearing that. Next thing is that on success, it should flip back to the login view. Let's do that as a final thing. So for that, let me just see what needs to be done. Do we have a routing function within this? Route to login is already there. So we know that as soon as that happens, wait maybe for 1 second and then flip back to login. So that should happen in my presenter on success. So if I update status, and then the next thing that should happen is this. Let me just see what I have done in my existing code. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. I'm updating the status. Next thing I do is I wait for a second or two and then route it back to the other section. So let me do that now. Dispatch Swift. I use a lot of this snippets in my code. 2 seconds. just use that within this. As soon as the success happens, I show the update message, import something, import foundation here. Success message, sync after, maybe I sync after, maybe I'll just wait for 2 minutes, 2 seconds maybe, and then route it back. And then I'll call the self dot router dot route to login. That's it. After 2 seconds I route it back to login. Now let's run. So this should be the final step that I'll do for this sign up case, where it just flips to the login screen after successful sign in. Let's do that. Sign up, login. Maybe I'll just call it as test user at the rate test user at the rate testing.com, password test123. Okay, remember test123. It should show me sign up successful and flip successful, flips to login. That's it. That's my tutorial on sign up flow. Now let's cover the login flow, and then which navigates from the login to the dashboard view, that flow in the next episode, which is coming up pretty soon. I need to take a break. Bye until then.